If you think passing the MCQ one is the hard part, you are wrong. The real pressure starts after you get into the system. Whether you're going through the residency pathway or the practice-ready assessment pathway, for me, it does not matter. The pressure feels the same. So the real question is this: what do you do with the pressure? Because you already wake up thinking about patients, you start thinking about labs, you start thinking about imaging. You know, that's unstable case you had from yesterday. You're thinking about it. And underneath all of this is that quiet thought: I cannot afford to make a mistake. You left your country, be it India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana. You left your familiar environment. You left a version of yourself that felt established. And I know some of you were heads of departments, some of you were big shots in your country, some of you were big shots in your hospitals, and now you are rebuilding gradually in public. That pressure is really, really real. So the day starts moving very fast. You review charts, you see patients, you answer questions, you document everything. You go on to even think about guidelines. You think about risks associated with what you are doing, even the risks of exposing yourself to certain patient conditions. You're dealing with communication issues, the cultural nuances of the workplace and medicine in general in Canada. You are not just practicing medicine. You are practicing medicine in a new system. And that takes one trait, which is humility, as well as courage. And there is that moment. The deteriorating patient, the fact that you need to have a difficult conversation with the family, a complex diagnosis that you can't wrap your mind around. Your heart rate starts to increase. Your mind starts to speed up, and you feel the weight of responsibility. This time, not as a student, but as a physician. And this is where many IMGs struggle quietly. Not because they lack knowledge, but because they internalize the pressure. They ask, do I really belong in this system? Let me tell you something clearly. You do belong. And the pressure does not mean you don't belong. No, it rather means you are expanding. Sometimes growth feels unstable before it feels really strong. And every confident physician you admire once felt exactly like the way you are feeling right now. The tunnel looks dark because you are in transition, not because you are lost. So, what are you going to do with all this pressure? I'm not discussing this to discourage you. No, I'm rather discussing this to encourage you, because sometimes when you're going through some pressure, it means you're on the right path. So the first thing I want you to do with the pressure is to stay patient, focused. When the pressure rises, ask yourself, what does this patient in front of me right now need? Not, do I look competent? Not, am I impressing my supervisors or the nurses I'm working with? No. When you focus on servicing the patient instead of your ego, you realize that clarity will return. The patients are the ones who are going to ground you, and they remind you of why you came. Secondly, normalize discomfort. You are adapting to a new healthcare system. You are adapting to a new culture. You are adapting to a new standard of doing things. Of course, it will feel heavy. Even for practicing physicians who've been in the system for a long time, there are cases you will meet where you go like, oh my goodness, what just happened here, right? It is supposed to be like that. This is medicine. And that pressure you go through while you're going through your residency or your practice-ready assessment is what is refining you. It is not condemning you. And the third point is that you need to protect your mind and the way you protect your patients. This is not luxury self-care. This is survival. You've got to sleep when you can. You've got to eat before you crash. You've got to move your body. So you've got to get a gym membership or get a treadmill. And also learn to talk to someone you trust. Don't isolate yourself after a hard shift or after a very serious patient encounter. For example, if you go through a code blue, that can really, really be hard on your mind, right? The one thing you have to understand is that burnouts grow in silence and resilience grows in connection. And give yourself the opportunity to grow and to recover, because you're also a human being. And then while all these things go on, something small happens. A patient tells you, thank you. Or a patient tells you, I felt that someone listened to me. Or a patient tells you, I trust you. And suddenly you realize that, the 5 a.m. alarm that you put on all now makes sense. The long documentation now makes sense. The pressure you've been going through now makes sense. You realize that you are not here to prove yourself per se, but rather you are here to serve. And you are doing it right now. One day, you will notice something very subtle. What used to terrify you now feels very manageable. And what used to overwhelm you now feels like routine. You didn't escape the pressure. Rather, you grew into the pressure. And that growth is what is going to change you. It will build competence, it will build confidence, and it will build the sense of belonging. Not because someone handed it to you, but because you earned it. So if you are studying for the MCQ1 right now, you are not just preparing for an exam, you are preparing for responsibility. Yes, the pressure will come. But if you stay patient-centered, if you let the discomfort stretch you instead of shrinking you, if you take care of your mind the way you take care of your patients, you will see the light. And one day, that 5 o'clock morning alarm will not feel like fear. It will feel like purpose. And I want to tell you, it will all be worth it.